Jack Matirko, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Andy. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. We were just talking about that Spotify app. What were you saying about it? It was there's an app that
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called, but it's an app that it will randomly select and play for you something on Spotify that has 0 listens, and you can find a bunch of amazing and terrible things that way.
amazing and terrible things. What's the worst thing that you've heard so far on this Spotify app that only
I don't even pay attention to what they are. It's just
is it like glass, just like someone breaking
it's
glass?
once it's done, because once you've listened to it, it's been listened to once, and it will never come up in the app again.
And so, that's very interesting.
Ephemeral,
right? And it just plays one song after another.
Yeah, it'll just keep going.
Yeah.
There's millions of things with 0 listens at this point. Right?
I would imagine. So, Jack Matirko, tell me about what you do. Tell me about what your blog is. Tell me about all those good things.
Well, I'm your co-host on the Naked Diner podcast, which is how we know each other. We go back a long way.
We do go back a long way.
That's something we can unpack.
Right.
And I do the For Infernal Use Only blog on Pathos, where I cover Satan stuff.
Does your business card say expert in Satanism?
No, I'm not
Reporter
sure.
extraordinaire.
I think I say I'm a columnist.
Columnist.
Is what I've been putting on my LinkedIn and stuff.
Oh, okay, cool. So how long have you been doing the blog for? Has it been a year?
I think it's coming up on 2, isn't it?
Dude, I don't know.
2017. I think it was September 2017 when I started the For Infernal Use Only.
Right. So you've been doing podcasting for a lot longer than that, though.
Oh yeah. Boy. 2011, I think, is when I started podcasting.
Right. So you're talking like 8-9 years or so.
It's been a bit.
So which one do you like better? Do you like podcasting or do you like doing the blog?
I like podcasting, but I think part of that is just, like we've fallen into a groove on Naked Diner where we do a really good long form interview show, I think. And that has always been the kind of stuff that I like hearing on the radio, right? Like Terry Gross's.
I don't know about you, but whenever I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, I always feel guilty that we're not talking for like 3 hours.
Yeah, but but you'll get more out of our hour.
I think so. I think it's much more concentrated because you listen to a lot of these 3-hour-long podcasts in the first 45 minutes to an hour. It's pretty tight. It's pretty good. And then there are these tangents or there's a lost momentum. I don't think I could do 3 hours, to tell you the truth, without either drinking or doing anything or drugs. That's what I think.
I have no idea. Never tried.
So when you think about, your blog For Infernal Use Only, what's the best piece you think you've ever written? Not the most popular, but the best piece. Because you're covering all things Satanism for all intents and purposes, right?
But it depends on how you define best. Like in terms of like best piece of journalism I've done was probably that thing about Jason Rapert.
No, you're going to forgive me because I don't read everything that you write. So remind me about this.
Okay, well, Jason Rapert's the Arkansas senator who put the 10 Commandments monument up. And the piece I did about him, I was pointing out that it was very odd that the charity that he set up to have that 10 Commandments monument put up said they were tax exempt but never filed any paperwork. And coincidentally, it would appear, just looking at his church's tax returns, that he deposited that money into his church's account, which is a whole thing. Like, that's what it looks like, at least from the paperwork that I've seen.
Is that laundering? I don't know the technical terms. What is that?
I don't know. It's not up to me. I just pointed out that, hey, this is a little shady. And actually some anonymous person has picked up on that and found a bunch of other stuff, like the house that they bought for their ministry is a little weird, and bunch of unsavory business.
Who would have thought that an Arkansas state senator wrapping himself
in God and the American flag.
And God and the American flag would be crooked.
Yeah, right. Who could have seen that coming?
Who? So what's the most popular thing you've ever written?
Oh, well, that one, it was last week when the Satanic Temple announced that they're tax exempt. It's not even a question.
It's not even a question.
Far and away the most popular thing that's been on the blog. Yeah.
That's pretty good. What kind of response? Nice. Did you have trouble in the comments section? Because sometimes.
Oh boy. Oh, the comment section was brilliant because it showed one of the interesting things about the Satanic Temple is the amount of flack they catch from people who should be agreeing with them, right? Because it's one thing they say that, and some of the Catholic coverage was amazing because the Catholics are terrified of this, and they're like, we need to write the IRS and get their Form 1023, and hopefully we can find something to get this horrible problem overturned and make sure that these people aren't going to get the same tax benefits that we do. They're really nervous. It's weird. So that was to be expected. And of course, the Christian right just flips out like they always do. But then there's the atheists who are completely anti-religion, who are angry that TST is going in this direction at all. Right?
Right.
They're just like, no, you're joining the dark side. Which is weird. And then out of nowhere came several witches and pagans who were mad, saying TST is trouble, or just starting trouble, and TST is going to get them hurt. Which is
I don't understand. I don't understand that reasoning. What's their argument? Please explain.
Well, as I understand it, their argument is the Christian right doesn't, differentiate between Satanists and witches and pagans, and they're going to see Satanists doing shit, and then they're going to beat us up in parking lots and things like that. They're like, you're going to get the witches hurt because people confuse us.
So not all pagans, not all witches, but there's some vocal elements who just want you guys to be in the closet.
Yeah, seems that way.
That seems counterproductive.
Yeah, it was this really weird kind of. I kept thinking about what was that big Stonewall?
Oh, Stonewall. Right.
I kept thinking of that, and it's just do you think there were gay people in and around the area going I wish they'd stop, the police are just going to beat us up. I don't want to get beat up by the police. Do you think that was a thing where some people were just nope, this is not the right way to do this?
I heard Dan Savage, the commentator, writer, sex therapist, sex columnist, who said that the only thing that unified, or the reason why there is a quote unquote gay community, is because of AIDS. It is what unified the gay community, and before the epidemic, it was just all these kind of diverse voices, never agreeing on anything. It was just like herding cats, a metaphor that we know so very well.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I can see that.
Yeah. So do you think the Satanic? So I heard the term that I heard the phrase. The only reason why that there is modern day Satanism is because of the Satanic Panic back in the 80s. What do you think about that?
No, I don't. Well, I mean, that gets complex. I don't necessarily think. I think Satanism would be around in one form or another, regardless. Right. I think it definitely had the Satanic Panic in the 80s and 90s definitely had its effect on how it shaped what Satanism is today. Sure.
But it wouldn't. But do you think it probably wouldn't be as big, or would it? I don't know.
It's hard to say. Well, I mean, there's no crystal balls into alternate universes, but I mean, I think it still would be around in one form or another. It's just a question of what that form is. It might be better this way than it would have been if everybody just took Laveyan and ran with it and never questioned any of that.
Right. You know what? I've heard the term Laveyan Satanism.
Yeah.
And what is non-Laveyan Satanism?
Well, I mean, all right. So the Church of Satan will say that they are Satanists, and everyone else says that they are Laveyan Satanists because their rationale is basically, we're the only real Satanists. It's very, true Scotsman-y.
Right.
But that's their talking position. So when somebody says Laveyan Satanist, they mean somebody from the Church of Satan. That's pretty fair to say that. And there might be some who are like, unaffiliated with the church, but still follow the same rules and blah, blah, blah. But
Sure. So you have Laveyan Satanism, which is basically birthed from the writings of Mr. Anthony. What's his name? What's his proper name? I don't want to.
His real first name was Anthony, but yeah, Anton.
Anton. All right, there you go. I knew it was an A word. Anton LaVey. So you have, but people in the Satanic Temple, would they self-identify themselves as Laveyan Satanists, or would they be more like Laveyan adjacent Satanists, or
No,
just?
I think they would say that. Well, they would say modern Satanism or possibly romantic Satanism.
Oh, I like that.
Which
Tell
I
me
think
about.
is probably a better description. But
All right, so romantic. Let's unpack that. What is romantic Satanism?
that would be.
Is it like candlelight? Is it candlelight dinners?
No, that'd be drawing from the Renaissance tradition. You'd be looking at not just looking at the works of LaVey, but going back and looking at artistic and historical works. So Paradise Lost and Dante.
I don't think the devil looks very good in Dante's Inferno. Isn't he at the center of hell, chewing on the carcass of Judas Iscariot?
Yeah, but it still fits in, right?
Right. So you have basically modern / romantic Satanism, which is the Satanic Temple. You have Laveyan Satanism.
Yeah, and it should be said that this is all predominantly the groups that you're finding in the United States. There's a billion other kinds of Satanists over in Europe.
And what kind of groups do they fall into broadly speaking?
Boy, I that's tough, because one of the things about Satanism being that it does have this rebellion against authority thing, is that it is very contextualized to the country that it's in, because laws are different in different places, right? Some places have particular problems with this set of unjust laws, and other places have a bigger problem with a different set of unjust laws, and so they everything's focus is on a different thing, Although I was thinking the other day, it's interesting that I think one of the the big thematic metaphorical differences between European Satanism and American Satanism is where their Faust myth comes from.
Tell me about that.
In Europe, you've got the Dr. Faustus myth from Goethe, right?
Right.
And so you got this German, Austrian-ish preacher, or not preacher, but college professor, basically, who makes this deal with the devil and gets rich and all this other stuff. In America, it's Robert Lee Johnson, the blues player who made a deal with the devil at the crossroads. So that is a big, in terms of what the overall story of Satan is and what's prominent in different cultures. That's an interesting one to point out, I think.
Are there a lot of connections between for American Satanists and people on the continent, European Satanists?
Are there a lot of connections?
Well, connections as in groups that are both here and there, or at least sharing the same basic belief system.
Yeah, to the same extent that we've got atheist friends in Australia and Iran, and sure, obviously there's those same kinds of people identifying as Satanists.
Are there Satanists in Muslim countries?
As far as I've never met any, but one of the times that Kaveh Masavi was on our show, he did say that there was a Satanist meetup. Remember the first time he was on?
That was a long time ago.
If Kaveh is to be taken as accurate, then yes, we know that there are some Satanists in Tehran, or at least there were like 2 years ago. That
Right.
might not be the case anymore.
So you were in the Hail Satan movie.
Just for a couple seconds. Man.
Just for a couple of seconds?
Yeah, that's not worth making a big thing of, is it?
Hollywood's not beating down your door.
Oh, heck no.
Now, is Hail Satan out in general cinemas? Is it just out and about in small movie houses? What's going on with that?
As far as I know, it's out in general cinemas. They seem to be having showings all the time, as far as I can tell. Just from my friends in different cities saying they want to see it.
And for people who don't know what Hail Satan is, or the movie Hail Satan, is that the right way to say it? Hail Satan, because there's a question mark at the end.
I've seen some funny ones, like somebody on the one. I can't remember if it was in Texas, but they on their marquee they put "Hail Satan?" ? And then they used the letters underneath it to say, said like the church lady would say it. It was just what they put.
That's funny. That's funny. I can't do that Dana Carvey high pitched voice or anything like that, but that would be funny.
Yeah, but that's the Satanic Temple documentary that you're talking about.
Right, it's a Satanic Temple documentary. It was a couple of years in the making.
As far as I know, I'm pretty sure Penny and them were following around for at least 2.5 years. About as long as I've been writing about it, yeah.
Penny Lane is the director. She's done a whole bunch of other pretty cool documentaries, from what I understand.
Yeah, she's done some fun ones.
Right. What kind of...
The reception to this has been pretty amazing. I think last time I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes score, it was like 96% fresh or whatever. Just heard of.
It's a very accessible movie for people who are open and who aren't waiting to burn Satanists, which is whoever they don't like at the stake.
Yeah.
If you're not part of that crowd, you're gonna like the movie, I think.
Yeah, and if you're not part of that crowd, then you just write the paper and tell them that you didn't like the movie you didn't go see, which has been happening.
Shake fist, right? Yeah. Has there been a lot of that?
There's been a few. There have been some op-eds in some newspapers by local ministers and whatnot, which is weird because, eventually you get to that point where you have, a Catholic priest condemning them. It's almost like, remember the interview I really want to see for this movie that hasn't happened is I'd like to see, like, Lucian and Penny. Do you remember that there was a debate that came out after Life of Brian came out?
I was just thinking of that. I was just thinking of the debate between John Cleese, and I forget who else was on from Python, against the Archbishop with the bushy eyebrows.
Yeah.
An Archbishop with these ridiculously large eyebrows, and there was another minister there.
Yeah, it was a Catholic Archbishop, and then it was somebody from the Church of England, I think.
Right, and it was hilarious.
Oh, it was brilliant, and I'd love to see something like that set up to talk about, something with probably Lucian and Penny. I think would be the way to go. And unless you could get Malcolm, but that's unlikely.
Well, Malcolm's one of the other co-founder. Is the other co-founder
of the
Satanic Temple.
Man in the Shadow people.
He is a man in the shadow kind of person, right? He's someone that I imagine I could have passed on the street like a number of times without even knowing about it.
Yeah, probably.
Right. I think that would be an awesome idea. Who would be your if you could wave your magic wand? Who would you have, debating? Representing the other side.
Oh man! All right, so Bill Donahue.
I was thinking of him, right, of the Catholic League, right?
From the Catholic League.
Right.
And who would you get as the... Maybe that's tough. It's tough. Which Christian preacher you... Oh, no, who would... what's his name? Bob Larson.
Bob Larson. I know Bob Larson. What ministry is he with?
I don't know what brand of Christianity he is, but he tends to dress like a priest. and
Oh,
do exorcisms. He's the one who's got his teen girl exorcism squad.
that,
Marketing dog. Yeah.
that guy. Yeah, he's just shameful. That's
He's
who he
horrible.
is.
Yeah, so him and Bill Donahue.
You know what I would like to see? I would like to see Bill Donahue, and you're solid on. We both agree on Bill Donahue. I'd like to see Paula White, President Trump's spiritual advisor,
Oh, yeah.
grifter, and Florida megachurch minister. I think, because she did that exorcism at the White House recently, right? She purged out the all the evil demons and spirits, and so watching her try to cast out the Satan from Lucian and Penny, I think, because she would try to.
Would just be worthwhile.
Price, it would be worth the price of entry. Even if she only was on the show for 5 minutes, she would just talk in tongues, do her mumbo jumbo, and then Bob Donahue would spend the rest of his time turning red in the face and gibbering.
So who would be whose show would get to host this extravaganza?
Good call. Good question. Good question.
Who gets to be the moderator in this discussion?
What would be amusing is watching Tucker Carlson try to manage that, and then you could watch Tucker Carlson's face turn red, along with Bill Donahue's face, and then you could say to yourself, which one of these guys is going to have a stroke or a seizure? Probably Bob or Mr. Donahue, because he's older and everything like that, and hasn't led a very healthy lifestyle, more than likely. But that would be a fun time. So it could either be, now if you're just going to go for a complete shit show and just go for clicks and ratings, it'd be Tucker Carlson, just for the sheer entertainment value of it. If you're going to have a real moderator, you'd have to have somebody from NPR, probably, who's used to herding cats or taming lions.
I don't know people at NPR necessarily. Yeah, good. Yeah, no, actually, that's good. Let's get the guy from Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Ira Glass. Hilarious.
No, not Ira Glass.
Not Ira Glass. Who does Wait, Wait then?
I had his name right on the tip of my tongue the other day.
See, now I'm going to have to look it up because I have my phone right here. It's on silence. But see, this is gripping stuff here. Wait, don't tell me. And taking my glasses up, recording. Peter Gross, right? No, he's a panelist, Peter Gross. They tell you about the panelists. They don't tell you about who actually hosts it.
Hang on. Peter Sagal.
Peter Sagal. There you go. Peter Sagal.
That's the one I was looking for.
You got to do some gripping showing there with my glasses being raised up in as I try to read the script on my Wii phone there. So yeah, I think Peter Sagal would be great.
I think that would be a good balance. That'd be fascinating. Oh, yeah. I'd watch the shit out of that.
I'd watch either Tucker Carlson or Mr. Sagal. I think they would both offer a certain amount of hilarity. One intentional, one maybe not.
One not so.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, that'd be fascinating. Yeah, I think that's the kind of stuff that I tend to think is lacking in media.
There should be like an online petition. There should be an online petition to get this matchup of the century together.
What do we call this show when we pitch it to A&E? Debate Wars.
Debate Wars.
Wars.
There was this old
brackets. We'll make brackets for people debating each other, and we'll be like,
right. And the final
this week it's Food Bed versus Noam Chomsky.
I think that would be great, to tell you the truth. If it was like an Oxford style debate, where you actually get to see how the live audience, how their opinions get changed.
Yeah.
It's like the debate.
They have shows like this on the BBC. They exist.
I don't know. There should be one here in the States.
To Americanize it, you'd have to make it a bracket competition.
Oh yeah.
Take all. which is how you'd get something like Food Babe versus Noam Chomsky, which is hilarious, and I would totally watch that.
I would watch that. And just if you, once again, if you're going to
I don't even know
Americanize
what Noam
this,
Chomsky's opinions are on any of those things. He
no
doesn't
idea.
seem like a homeopath. I doubt it, but you don't know. It's not like he's come out on record.
The only thing that I've seen Noam Chomsky talk about recently is Venezuela.
Yeah, exactly.
But if we were going to Americanize this even more, there would have to be some kind of large vat of gloop, of some kind of green or red liquid that would fall on the loser, right? I mean, after the final tallies, there'd have to be some kind of woe to the vanquished, to the defeated, something shaming. Americans love to shame each other.
That's true.
And so, the loser would have to be shamed.
Yeah.
And that would be the mic drop moment at the end of the show. And you go, next week, you go to the next bracket.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good idea. We should.
I think it's brilliant.
Graphics together and
easy. You just kind of storyboard it out, right? You get some seventh grader who's really good in art class, just to storyboard out the big points of the show. And who would not buy that show from us?
I think it would sell like hotcakes, especially if the shaming is like everybody gets to throw just like water balloons of the glue.
Oh my God! You just thought of the genius thing. Part of it too is that you could throw like water balloons or rotten veg or like rotten tomatoes, or something. Maybe what we could do, right? Just like in the Blues Brothers, you have the contestants behind chicken wire, right, in little cages. Right, you'd have them behind chicken wire, and so people could throw stuff. It probably would, only the splashes from the rotten tomatoes and the water balloons would actually hit them, not the actual water balloon. It would be horrible if Noam Chomsky lost, and this would be this elderly this elderly professorial type getting smacked with water balloons.
It would be pretty bad.
It would be, that maybe. Because whenever, when we're thinking about this, we just assume that it would be our side that would be winning, but maybe not. Maybe it would be, and then before you know it, Noam Chomsky would have to be wiped off with from seeds of tomatoes or another kind of no one. Maybe hilarious but wrong. That's what it is.
Yes, exactly. Hilarious but wrong. Like if we did this with one of the Saturday Night Live cast in a Noam Chomsky costume, that's completely different.
I like where you're going on that. Yeah, that would be pretty good. I just saw the Dr. Ruth documentary the other day.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Very touching, very moving. I saw it. The Dr. Ruth documentary, Dr. Ruth Westheimer. A little bit of animation in it, which was entertaining. They mixed it up in terms of putting a little bit of animation here and there. Specifically, she's a Holocaust orphan. She doesn't call herself a Holocaust survivor, but she was one of the few children that made it to Switzerland. Her parents, unfortunately, I'm not giving anything away here. Her parents died in the Holocaust, but so she calls herself a Holocaust orphan. There's some animated bits from that particular time in her life. She's 90 years old. She just had her 90th birthday, and it was a very moving and very touching. If you have a chance to see it, definitely I recommend it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, she was a sniper too.
I had no idea. That's amazing.
Yep. She never said she killed. She said that she never killed anyone, but Dr. Ruth strikes me as a woman. I guess she's only like 4. She's very demure. She's a very small person.
Yeah. But
it strikes me that if she did pop anyone in the head, she isn't going to tell anybody about it. She doesn't like talking about the Holocaust. She doesn't like talking about certain things, but if she did have to shoot somebody in Israel during the conflict in 1947, she's not going to tell anybody.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I saw that the other day. It was very moving. So what are you following now, Jack Matirko? Getting back to your Jack Matirko Satanist columnist. What's going on? What are you following? What stories are you following? What's coming up? Do you have any idea what's coming up?
No, I to be perfectly honest with you, I took the weekend off because I was just kind of burned out after the whole tax exemption thing.
Oh yeah.
Because that made a whole lot of interesting stuff to try and keep track of. Because, like I said, it set everybody off. The atheists were angry, the Satanists were angry, the witches were angry, the Christians were angry. So everybody was angry, basically, which is a weird position to be in, I would imagine.
Well, I think you're doing something right if everyone's angry at you.
Well, not me, but
right. Well, but metaphor. I mean, if you're doing something that is a little bit ahead of the curve, or maybe way ahead of the curve, you're not going to get a lot of applause or accolades for that.
Well, that's true. I mean, it seems like they've gotten plenty of support with the move too. I'm not trying to paint it as like, but a lot of people in TSD are still fine and get it, and totally understand it. Yeah.
Now, I know we talked about this on our own podcast, The Naked Diner, but what was the reason for going from having to pay taxes to the tax-exempt status? Now, that sounds stupid because people who don't know about the temple would say that, of course, people would want to be tax-exempt because of all the perks that goes along with it. But there was a long time that the temple wasn't tax-exempt, and it seemed to be a choice on their part.
Yeah, that was a continuation of what the Church of Satan's position was that churches should pay taxes, and so therefore they're going to pay their taxes.
Right.
But Lucian's argument, as I understand it, for getting tax exemption is, look, the Johnson Amendment has been gutted. There's not a whole lot of teeth to it. Churches can do whatever they want, and they're getting a lot more money. So we need to, the playing field is stacked enough as it is, basically.
Sure.
And that's a fair point.
Yeah. Tell me about the other podcasts that you're doing, because you're doing a couple of other ventures.
I'm starting up 2 new ones, hopefully in about a little over a week is when I want to put out the first couple episodes. Ex Libris Obscura, which is just me talking about books that I don't think many people have read.
Mm-hmm.
Or lots of people have read and forgot about, or, just things like that. But books that I like. And then the other one is just called Live from the Public Domain, where I'm reading old books. Just
because there was a lot. I know
books that they can't stop me from making and putting out for free.
Woohoo! Rock and roll! Because wasn't there a whole bunch of, for lack of anything less lazy than the word, stuff? Isn't there a lot of stuff that just became part of the public domain a little while ago?
Yeah. It was the first time in probably a few years where there was actually a sizable amount of stuff entering the public domain. I actually have a really good idea for that. For some of the stuff that entered the public domain this year.
So what are the rules? Is it like 75 years?
70 life of the author plus 70 years. So
do you have any other plans with public domain stuff?
Well, what I'd like to see somebody take Cecil DeMille's 10 Commandments and What's Up, Tiger Lily?
Right. What's Up, Tiger Lily was that Woody Allen movie where he just had actors dub.
Yeah, he basically, I don't know whether he bought the rights or it was public domain or what, but he got a hold of some Japanese detective movie or something,
mm-hmm.
and then just recut all the footage and had voice actors come in and redub new dialogue on top of it and just made a new movie out of the old one. And I'd love to see somebody do that with the 10 Commandments and just completely change it. I think that'd be fun.
You have a home studio. You can do that.
Video editing is not my strong suit, though.
But could you just... All right, so...
I could help write the script.
Oh, right. Is it possible just to dub over what's already there?
Like
without doing any video cutting whatsoever, and just run with it like that?
I have no idea. So I'd really have to sit down and watch it and think about it, right?
I haven't seen that for a long time.
Because, you'd be basically writing new dialogue for all the action that's already there without changing the order of it or any cuts or anything like that, man. That's a lot to ask of someone.
This is true. It's not a short movie either, as I recall.
Yeah.
It's an epic.
Still, it'd be fun to see somebody do it,
Oh, yeah. This is true. It would be. So how many more days do you have before baby comes? You're like on the 12th, right? You got, what is this, like less than a week away?
The due date's on the 12th.
The
so
due
who
date's
knows?
on.
Who knows? We don't know yet.
You don't know? So this time next week, you could be an official dad.
Could be.
You could be.
You assume that this kid's going to be on time, like right on time. I don't know why you would think that after years of knowing me.
Oh yeah, well this is too. This is true. And the first child is always could take longer than expected to get out.
Yeah.
So have you had anyone give you horrible parenting advice yet?
I don't know.
Have you had anyone give you any parenting advice?
Not too much besides the usual stuff you expect to hear,
Right. Do people want to touch your mom's the mom's belly?
I mean, sometimes.
Yeah, I always thought that was weird. Like people want to touch the belly. I never want.
Yeah, I don't do that either, but people do.
Have you touched the belly and felt the kid moving?
Oh yeah, no, a ton of times.
I never did that. You know why? It just freaked me out. It would just freak me out. It would just freak me out, the idea that there is someone, in there moving around trying to burst out.
Yeah. No, that doesn't weird me out that much.
It got so bad that even like sleeping, sleeping next to my then wife, it was just kind of like, wow, kind of weird. Yeah, but I was always supportive in that kind of, please don't make me touch the belly kind of way. Supportive, like, good job. Let me do things for you, as long as it doesn't require the touchiness.
Yeah, well, I don't know what to tell you, man. Fine with it.
Therapy and medication. I think that's what you're saying. I think you're saying therapy and medication probably help you out, Andy, quite a bit. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
I think we covered a lot for this, half hour or so. I think that a little bit over half an hour, and I think it will work together nicely. That's what I think, Jack Matirko.
All right. Well, I'm glad I could come on.
Yeah. Well, it was good. You're the first guinea pig. You're the first person here that I'm doing this format with, and I feel not unbad. Not unbad. Not
unbad.
I don't know what that means, actually. I feel unbad. If I felt not unbad.
Not unbad would mean you feel bad.
Bad. So I feel unbad about this. That's how I feel. I feel like I think it was unbad. And we have a guest coming on the Naked Dine podcast. Well, actually, the podcast that's out right now is with John Pierce. And we talked all about muscular sclerosis and a book that he co-wrote, multiple sclerosis, muscular. It has something to do with muscles. I'm pretty sure about it, and it is multiple.
More about the nerves, but
yeah, it is. Well, yeah.
It's the sheathing on the nerves, but
the sheathing, the myelin sheath.
Yes, that's a whole other thing, though.
That's a whole other thing, but that was fun. And we have someone else that you're going to be talking to this week. I'm
actually taping it. I got my buddy Steve from a show called Sacred Tension is going to be sitting in as the guest host, but we're going to have Andrew Seidel from Freedom from Religion Foundation. That'll be good.
Sounds exciting. So where can people... What's that?
He's got a new book coming out.
A new book?
There's some funky lawsuit stuff that I want to talk about. It'll be fun.
Well, try to carry on without me. I know it'll be very difficult without my my glibness.
I think we'll manage.
Oh, I'm sure you will. So where can people find you online, sir?
People can find me online on Pathos at For Infernal Use Only is the name of the blog. You can find, so that's pathos.com/blog/infernal. You can find me on my Patreon, patreon.com/Naked Diner, where you can find our show along with all my other stuff. It's really, if you're just looking for me in particular, it's easier to go to the Patreon because it's got the blog posts and the podcasts and everything else. So,
All right, man. Easy peasy mac and cheesy. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
And we will join up again for the Naked Eye podcast in about a week or so.
Yeah, I think. Do we have somebody scheduled for?
I don't think we have anyone scheduled, but we can always pull rabbits out of our hats because we're good people like that.
Yeah.
We're creative people.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
All right, man. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.